Nick, this is Jasmine. She's your new carer.
What am I supposed to do with that? You can shake my dick if you like.
Nick, it's bad enough you speak to me like that. Jasmine is a nice girl from a good family. If you want her to stay, you treat her with some respect. Nick can't move his left arm far from his body. He can stand for short periods, but that's all. He needs to be wheeled to the toilet, but then he's all right. Don't use the hoist unless there's someone with you, and by someone I mean me. But make sure he takes his medicaments. Now, he's on it for today, but well, look, I'll make you a list.
Just pretend I'm not here.
He does sometimes have moods like this, but most days he's fine. But I'll leave you to get to know each other.
So, what's your story?
Okay then. I wasn't told to prepare a monologue, but I guess, well, when I finished uni, I thought I'll find a job in arts admin, or as an art historian in some stately home or in a big museum, that I'll discover something new about John Bradby, or write an article about Augustus John. It just didn't dawn on me that 10,000 other people will have the same dream. I guess you'll call them tournament jobs, and I've lost the tournament. I still do some work in a museum, but only as a volunteer. It's care work that keeps the wolf from the door.
And what's behind that door? Do you live on your own?
Nobody in London lives on their own unless they're rich or lucky. No, I share a house with 3 other girls that come and go. The cast keep changing, but I stay on the stage. While we all wait for that great job, we do care work, bartending, PA work, volunteer, and appear in music videos for boyfriends who are as broke as we are.
And where's this house then?
Wimbledon? It's the end of the line. Well, the end of the tube line. Even the tennis people get off before that. But it's a nice place to live. People are less stressed and neurotic than the ones in the center. But that's enough about me. So, what's the plan here? Am I just going to turn up in here and talk relentlessly about myself? I'm not that in love with the sound of my own voice. In order for this to work, you have to give something of yourself, Nick, and look like you're smart enough to know that. Which means it's your turn. What's your story?
You mean, why am I the chair? Obviously. You wouldn't want to hear about anything else.
Obviously, we'll get to that. But why not? I mean, I'm here for a reason. It might be good if we...
Address the elephant in the room.
Give me a break, Nick. It's my first day here.
In some ways, it's like going to sleep. You lose consciousness, but there's a voice inside your head telling you, no, you shouldn't be going to sleep at that time, in that place. Then you wake up in a hospital bed.
How long were you in there?
6 months. I was completely paralysed and could barely speak. I even needed help turning pages on a newspaper. But the worst thing was watching the summer dribble away. I was admitted in the spring, but by the time I got out, it was October. I would lie there by the window, watching the shadows lengthen as the day staff left to go home to their families and their happy lives. But those times, even the antidepressants didn't stop me thinking dark thoughts.
What did they tell you about recovery?
Well, that depends who I'm talking to. If it's consultants, they'll say I can make a complete recovery. But if it's people at the business end, like physios or therapists, they just laugh when they hear that.
And what do you think?
Well, I have tried everything. Yoga, hydrotherapy, electric shocks, you name it. Mum spent a small fortune. So, you know what I think? I think this is as good as it gets.
Isn't there something called neuros?
If you're thinking of neuroplasticity,
Yes.
it's supposed to work like the internet. If one way is blocked, the brain will find another. It's done nothing to me. So I think it's a complete box. So I have to be honest, the thing I hate the most about this, though, is that it gives people the chance to talk endlessly about themselves. When I'm old, I will bore everyone to death, belly aching about my medical problems. Until then, can we talk about something else? For example, the agency usually tells prospective carers about my article on medieval Islamic art. Did you read it? If you're interested in art, it will be right up your street.
No, I haven't read it. I'll make sure to do that. Is it available online?
So they didn't tell you. Bastards. Doesn't really matter. It's all in the past anyway.
No, come on, don't jump it down my throat. If I say I want to read something, then I want to read something, and I mean it.
I can't really blame you. It's not as if, before my stroke, people who didn't even know me would read my article. But now people have to step foot into my room to even know I'm still alive.
Well, what about President Roosevelt?
So what about him? Is he in my room?
Franklin D. Roosevelt was disabled and he became an American president. He showed everyone that he doesn't have to hold you back.
That's very inspiring, Jasmine, but you're forgetting that FDR had a small army to hide his disability and another small army to overcome it. Now, I'm not sure Mum's resources are going to stretch to a small army. She bitches about having to pay her agency as it is.
What were you doing when I came in?
What do you mean?
It looked like you were trying to type something.
I'm always trying to do something. Do you know what dyspraxia is?
Yes?
Well, I had that to go. I had medical problems.
Why don't you get voice software recognition thing?
Because the computer doesn't want to recognise my voice, even though it picks up the sound of the TV perfectly. And also, my mother knows everything about me. I don't need her hearing what I'm up to through the wall when I'm alone as well.
What are you doing? Writing a diary or a book or something?
Or something. It's a girl I met online called Lucinda. I know she's interested, so I send stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Well, clearly you're not pleased with your progress. Would you like me to type it for you?
Well, I've fallen into the habit of just agreeing with everyone who wants to help me, but you should know it's pretty explicit stuff.
That's a yes then.
Okay.
Go ahead. What am I typing?
Lucinda. 3 syllables that shine like a bell and keep my restless mind from sleep. Imagining you more times than I can tell. To paint a picture I can keep. That hair, red, spreading fire. Those breasts that want to tumble free. But these things I cannot tire. Let your ripe fruit fall on me. I see you open your rich thighs, your nipples hard and proud. Time has stopped, time still flies. I hear you crying loud. What's the matter? You said you'd do it.
I did. But I didn't know it's going to be porn.
What do you think I watched it for? As a draft excluder? There's a part of me that still works. And a part of me that still has desires. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'll struggle on by myself.
Okay, okay. Don't be a martyr. Said I'm gonna do it, so I'll do it.
Okay. You'll be the object of my hunt. The quarry is your perfumed cunt. C-U-N-T. I see the pleasure in your eyes, as you are my valued, treasured prize, and a familiar blush upon your face, and that shudder in our warm embrace. Then you'll be quiet in my hold. The race is run, the story is told. And tell her that now we've exchanged pictures, she can see I am human wreckage, but there is something we can salvage. And tell her I'd like to meet
Can I see your photo?
Oh, sure. Knock yourself out.
Oh, wow. Nick, she's really beautiful. She could be a model. Are you planning on meeting her?
Yes, there's a pub on the corner. I can wheel myself down there. I can even stand up at the bar if I have something to hang on to.
How are you planning to hold the drink then?
Well, my fingers still work. The first part for me to come back to life were my thumbs. Then I just crouched down. But I get the impression you're trying to put obstacles in my way.
Please be reasonable, Nick. It's my first day on the job, and if you'll go down to the pub, it will probably be my last.
Relax. I'm not talking about today. She hasn't even agreed to meet me yet. You asked me, have I got any plans to meet you, Cinder? And I told you. Can I also point out that when people ask me to be reasonable, they're usually asking me to agree with them.
Okay, I won't argue with you on that one. Let me put that part about salvaging human wreckage. I know I'm going to regret asking it, but how do you know she likes erotic poetry?
Well, if she didn't like it, she would have told me to fuck off by now. But the fact is, she asked more, so I know she must be well up for it.
Get your head back in the game, Nick. Yes, meeting her will be the next logical step, but I'm not quite sure your mom will welcome another woman in the house, especially not someone that is interested in erotic poetry. Since I seem to have become your accomplice in this, why don't we think about something a little less dramatic and a little more practical, shall we? Why don't I just wheel you down to the bar, and I don't have to be a wallflower at the wedding or whatever the expression is. I could just disappear for a couple of hours while you tell her about Islamic art.
And then what? Am I going to have to explain to her that I still live with Mother? And can we go back to her place? Are you going to watch while we get it on?
Slow down, Nick. You haven't even set eyes on that girl. She might appreciate it more if you took a more relaxed approach.
Well, at least you're not being judgmental about it.
Actually, I think you set yourself for quite a healthy goal. The worst thing you can do is to isolate yourself. You should be out there doing the things that boys your age are doing, and that includes chasing girls.
Well, thanks to well-meaning platitudes. The reason why I asked whether you had read my article on Islamic art was to disprove the notion that I'm some kind of idiot, which is why I was pissed off when you said you hadn't.
I never said you were an idiot, Nick.
I don't want to be compared to other disabled people or treated like them. I mean, I know I'm disabled, but what I want to do is transcend my disability, like Professor Stephen Hawking. I mean, when people looked at him, they didn't think, oh look, there's a bloke in a wheelchair. They thought, look, there's a fucking genius. Let's put it this way. A man is independent and a free agent. He wants to chase women, he can. But when you're in a wheelchair, everything is reversed. You become a sleeping fucking beauty waiting for a princess to rock.
Nick, I'm not quite so sure how this is going to work. I mean, Stephen Hawking's reputation was built over decades. It's not about your disability anymore. He had book publications and TV appearances. Are you some kind of closet rocket scientist? Are you sure the stars and your expectations are aligned?
Well, I did say it's what I want, not what I expect. That's quite a work in progress. You said let's keep things simple, so let's focus on naming the Cinder.
I think your gift for poetry may have deserted you there. I feel a bit tired from our lively conversation. Can I get you a coffee?
How about the Holy Grail?
Why the Holy Grail?
Have you heard of the legend of Arthur? There was this knight with a wound that wouldn't heal until the Holy Grail was brought to him. Perhaps you could bring it to me?
Okay, I'll have a look at Amazon.
From the boy in a chair who can't see himself going anywhere. Watch passing days as they melt into one under cold grey skies and summer sun. But still he yearns and hopes like all the rest, although it seems his slow life will not be lost. From the viewpoint of a boy in a chair, will always be the ones who say they care. Inspiring thoughts don't seem to lead to much, or noble words, great ideas or such. So in the end, I just seek a quiet place and hope that love I see his heaven's praise, heaven's Thou art a sea, my boy in a chair, still turns for us who are beyond repair. Though we waste too much time on our dreams, imaginary world, that's how it seems. There are worlds of color, here it's black and white. We need more music, we need more light. From the perspective of a boy in a chair, no, he can't see himself going anywhere. Watch passing days as they melt into one under cold grey skies and summer sun. But still he yearns and hopes like all the rest, although it seems his soul life will not be blessed.
There I am, and so far unexplored. A woman who is never ignored. Rich figure, a pretty face, a notable presence in cyberspace. You won't find me on any chart. My hinterland blood is all my art. They speak about me. Now and then, my name is often on the lips of men. Perhaps to have, perhaps to hold, as substantial as El Dorado's gold. So come and see, if you dare. But I am Lucinda. Have a care. Where Aphrodite plucks the rose, that is where Lucinda goes. does that when his mother's not around. I feel guilty about him. He was just so young to have all that happen to him.
I know it doesn't seem fair to happen to someone with their whole life in front of them, but it would be a burden at any age. How old is Nick now?
He was just 20.
20? Then how old was he when he went to uni? The agency just sent me over, I didn't get to see his notes.
Yeah, he was offered a scholarship to Oxford when he was 14. He's always been a bright boy.
Wow, that's impressive. So, back at the time, what did the doctors tell you?
Well, I was told he'd probably make a full recovery because he was so young. Well, that just didn't happen. Around about that time, my divorce went through, so luckily there was enough money to pay for all the equipment he needed. I don't begrudge Nick anything, though. I do sometimes feel like an unpaid carer. When people come to see Nick, I'm just the voice behind the wheelchair.
Well, you have a lovely home.
Yes, take a bow, Victor. It's my former husband. He was always good at that sort of thing.
Was it a painful breakup? I mean, getting divorced?
No, not really. In fact, Victor was ugly as a dog turd. Sorry, but he was. He is. Well, his money made him much better looking, but I didn't realise quite how much he had to court. I used to ignore his infidelities. But his last one went to the papers and I couldn't ignore that. He used to shag her at work. Over the desk, she said. I knew she must be telling the truth because she said he used to make her wear lavender knickers and he made me do that. Of course, doing a kiss and tell with a local newspaper finished off their relationship as well as our marriage. And the most hurtful thing was the way he just dumped Nick. When he phones now, he sometimes asks after Nick, and I said, well, why don't you come and see him then? Well, he never does. My sister says he's living somewhere around Earl's Court. Not my care.
Before all this happened, did Nick used to have a lot of girlfriends?
Yes. Well, he's quite a pretty boy. You probably noticed. Yeah, he brought some lovely girls home. But he never showed any interest in marrying them. If he had, he might have had someone to look after him. But the girls disappeared once he had a stroke.
I suppose you can't blame a girl for wanting a different kind of life.
No, but when you see what a wonderful job the wife of that singer from Orange Juice did. I can't remember his name.
Edwin Collins?
Yes, it's the one. And, well, she didn't just look after him, she motivated him. It's really hard work motivating him. I took him to Mexico to see the pyramids at Chetumal. Then we spent some time at a beach resort, but Nick just kept falling asleep all the time. And people in recovery, they suffer from terrible fatigue. Well, that's one of the things they forget to tell you about. I was alright in the morning, but I just kept freaking out after lunch. It seemed such a pity because, well, Mexico has such a beautiful palette of colours to offer and he was missing it all. And I know how much he used to thrive off stuff like that. Another thing they don't tell you about is how bloody long everything takes. We're just doing all his shirt buttons as a performance that goes on forever. I don't want so much to be independent, I can't say anything. Well, now he complains that he sets his alarm for 7:30, he's not ready till 10.
Actually, sleep is good for people in recovery because the toxins drain into the liver.
Oh, Jasmine. I find all these details just too depressing to talk about. Sometimes I feel like Nick is the focal point of my entire existence.
is what carers are for. Can I ask you, do you bathe Nick?
Yes. Yes, his legs aren't too bad, so he can step into the bath and then he sits down on a little plastic seat, which goes down into the water, and he hates me doing it. I don't blame him. The difficult thing is getting him dressed, because of his arm.
So something of a challenge then.
Yeah, what a lovely euphemism. Something of a challenge. Yeah.
Well, I don't blame you for wanting a different kind of life. I mean, I'm getting paid to do this, but you're a victim of circumstance.
That's when you do have a way with the word, definitely. Victim of circumstance. And we're still talking about Nick.
That's what I'm here for. Do you ever plan to marry again?
Don't think about anything else. Or Nick ran and died for a shag. That was an exaggeration, but I have to be realistic. It's not just Nick. Well, there's a lot of competition out there. Just have to hope somebody comes along. You're so sad. I spent my whole life cursing men and the other half desperately wishing I had one. I know Nick looks at girls online. Maybe I should try that myself.
Actually, I don't think it's such a great idea for you or for Nick. If you don't mind me giving you an advice, it might be better to stick to more traditional methods.
No, I don't mind. I know you're just listening out of politeness, and I'm talking because you're in.
Well, it's nice to meet you and Nick, Mrs. Meredith.
Oh, please. Call me Helen.
Helen.
Well, it's been a very good start. Let's hope it carries on. Well, I speak for women of a certain age who feel they have something more to give. They want to write on another page, find another way to live. That feels so lost sometimes, it seems it's just out of grasp, like all my dreams. And I just want to be seen. There's still time to find another man, if he was the right man. Just in time, my white knight will come along. He'll be nice, he will be strong. That's how it'll be. My white knight will come for me. I want him to sweep me off my feet. Only he can make this poor heart beat. That's how it'll be on the day he comes for me. Just in time, my white knight will come along. He'll be handsome, oh, he'll be strong. That's how it will be on the day he comes for me. I feel the future lies in it. I feel like it's never too late. And he will march into my heart, and that is when my life will really start. Just in time, my white knight speak for women of a certain age who feel they have something more to give, who want to write upon another page and find another way to live.
Right, George, are you ready to rumble?
So, what's going on out there?
It's still raining. I had to get off at Green Park because of a person incident in Victoria, which means I lost more time trying to figure out which bus to take. Arsenal wants a new goalkeeper and Regent's Park wants a new panda.
So what do they want that for then?
The goalkeeper or the panda? I guess to get more people through the turnstiles, they could put the panda in the goal for Arsenal. Can't be worse than last season.
Can you sit down for a moment? We can have a proper chat.
No, George, I already told you. They cut my time from 20 minutes to 15, which means everything has to be done on the go.
15 minutes is ridiculous. What can you do in that time?
The word here is must, not can. It has to be done, so it will be done. All right. Here are all your medications. Here's some water. Take them quickly so I can make you all presentable.
What about that boy you go to see in Kensington? You said you spend all day with him.
Yes, but he pays for it. Or at least his mum does. Like everything in this wicked world, it all comes down to money. The council won't pay for any full-time carers anymore, and I need to pay the bills somehow. I won't do it on a part-time carer's wage.
So what are they like? The mother and the son?
Can you keep a secret, George? Client confidentiality and all that?
I'd be very disappointed if I thought you didn't gossip about me to all your other customers.
They're both looking for the same thing, really. Someone new in their life. They suffer from a bad case of loneliness.
Me and all.
You'll have to talk to the council, George. I'll talk to a charity about getting you a visitor.
So, what's for breakfast?
Ah, a nice bowl of cereal.
They used to do us a cooked breakfast.
Unfortunately, I came here after the good old days you keep telling me about. You do have a hot cup of coffee. Yes? Yes, I'm on my way, but I still have to get there. I'll do my best. Right, George, our time is up. Do you have any letters you need me to read to you?
Nah, they're all bloody bills.
Okay, then I'll have to go. I'll put you in front of the TV. Strictly is on tonight. You like that, don't you?
And that's not till this evening. Are you coming back then?
No, it won't be me. It will be Noria. Right, I'll have to go then.
What about my feet? Aren't they going to get cold?
No, they're not going to get cold because I am going to get you a nice warm pair of socks. So you've managed to get 20 minutes out of me. Anyway, but never mind.
Tell them from me, it's bloody ridiculous. 20 minutes, 15 minutes, what are you supposed to do in that time?
Make sure to convey your thoughts. Bye, George. Whatever you're doing now, you're doing it on the run. Look at us, we're leaving on London time. See what you're doing, leaving on London time.
enter the camera with a sudden air of trepidation. What's going to happen today, she wonders.
I shouldn't ask if you pleased to see me then. Read your article, by the way. Quite impressive.
Why do you say that?
Well, the way the art is represented, with tiles and murals and calligraphy, is a bit alien to me. My background is in boring old canvas. But the way you assemble the material and put it in historical context, I can't argue with that. I didn't know we got our numerology from them, so well done.
Okay, you stroked my ego and showed me you're interested. Plus, you haven't told me how brave I am. I have to give you credit for that.
Do you hear that a lot then?
Yes. You're so brave for getting out of bed in the morning. You're so brave and making it through the day. You're so brave not topping yourself, because that's what I would do if I was as fucked up as you are.
Eloquent. But I can see how that might grate on you.
There's nothing worse than people with good intentions. They expect to see a harmless vegetable in a wheelchair. But there's nothing that terrifies them more than when the vegetable starts showing signs of autonomy. Like last week, when you had kittens that thought of me going down the pub.
Well, be fair. I couldn't see how that would have a good ending. Do you see how vulnerable you would have been? You say there's nothing worse than people with good intentions. How about people with bad intentions?
You mean stuff like disability hate crime? At least I can understand their motives. They see us as parasites, sucking them dry. We don't even have the decency to kill ourselves.
Most people are kind and decent. They don't think like that. Did you hear back from Lucinda?
I did, yeah. After we exchanged photos, I was worried that she might dump me. But actually, she said what I sent her really turned her on.
Would you like to send a reply then?
Definitely. I've got another right here. Lucinda, I can enter you if you sit astride. Lucinda, hear me whisper, join me for the ride. Close your eyes, tilt back your neck, shake your glossy hair. Place your hands upon my chest, let your breasts hang bare. Let my questing serpent do its juicy part, and let me feel the beating of your wanton heart. Here in our small space will start a mighty fire, and I will feel upon your face the heat of your desire. My hands will touch and scorch your white glowing skin, and we will join together in our particular sin. If flowers make the pollen but sweet honeydew, then in your most secret place I will find the sweetness of you.
It's getting better.
You're a cool customer. Last week the shop, today you're literally critic.
I wasn't shocked. I was surprised because I wasn't expecting erotic poetry on day one. Trust me, when you put people on and off toilet all day long, you don't get shocked very often.
That's right. I do forget you about clients. Believe it or not, I do know I'm not the centre of the universe.
Ah, that would have made this a much more interesting conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not interesting enough. Perhaps it's because I have to conform to other people's expectations. That's what makes me boring. The camera is coming, so I must smile and be positive. Don't talk too much about myself. That would be self-dramatization. Don't dwell with problems too much. That would be self-pity. Conform to the expectations of others. It'll be nice to boil a chair.
Okay, here's a reality check for you, Nick. Some of those other clients that you've mentioned are stroke survivors like you. The healthiest option for them and you is to accept your situation and develop techniques to cope with it. That's what all the physios and OTs trying to nudge you towards. The problem is that stroke survivors like you can remember what life was like before they had the stroke. Someone who was born with the condition might be philosophical about it, but what stroke survivors want is the life they used to have before they had the stroke. And that's precisely what they can't have. You need help, Nick. So do they. And in that regards, you and they are not different.
I'll tell you something about being different. I'll never tell anyone else, including Mother. After I graduated, I went on holiday to Thailand. Dad was around there, and money was more plentiful. Can you pass me water, please? Thanks. Just leave the camera. Just leave the camera. While I was there, I visited the Buddhist temple near Chiang Mai, but the tourists had settled like a cloud of the locusts. I didn't want to be just another insect. I wanted to go off the beaten track, so I hired a local guide called Chen, who made his living from organising treks. And Chen suggested we take the public bus to Fang, his home village, which had some excellent trekking nearby.
Where's Fang?
It's much further north, near the border with Burma, well, Myanmar. Anyway, let me finish the story, please. Right, what I didn't realise is that I had entered Fang at a period of unrest. And the Thai Burmese armies used to get a regular kicking from the shan. It's pretty complicated stuff, but from what Chen told me, it was due to tension surrounding the trading of opium in the area. So when we got to Fang, the villagers came out to meet us and told us that Chen's father had been conscripted as a cook. Now, not much was said, but I got the impression that the soldiers came looking for Chen, and finding him missing, had taken his dad instead.
That's awful.
Well, Chen said he wasn't too worried, because being a cook, his dad would be well away from fighting. So he just relaxed for the night. This place couldn't have been any more different from a Thai village. It was all stone-built houses and mist-covered lunch auctions. During the nights, I thought I heard artillery, but it might just have been thunder. The following morning, we got a messenger who came to us and told us that Shen's dad was in the clinic and could we go there. Now, Fang had quite a smart modern clinic, but it was complete chaos when we arrived, with patients, families and relatives swarming all over the place, and no staff would tell us where Shen's father might be. We even had to wheel patients on trolleys into the wards. Finally, we found Shen's father, a small, quiet man in his mid-50s. His leg had been amputated at the hip. He spoke no words and approached his son. They asked us to help move Chen's father from his trolley onto his bed. And as he did so, he screamed in pain. The clinic had run out of anaesthetic, so Chen went into town to buy opium for him. And I was left to gaze at this middle-aged man with his missing leg and his body popped up by shrimp. I don't know what he thought of me. We didn't speak the same language, so I might as well have come from Mars. He stared at me through his pain, no doubt wondering why some fucking tourists had come all the way up here in search of a good story. I thought a lot about him afterwards, spending the rest of his life in a wheelchair. I can't imagine prosthetics were easy to come by in those parts. I never thought it would happen to me. But you don't, do you? Disability is someone else's problem, someone else's life. Until it happens to you. Now it has. At least I have a better story to tell than all the other fucking tourists.
It's weird. When you talk like that, you sound like you're older than me, even though it's the other way around.
Trauma can do that to you. One time, I was encouraged to go on a bus trip with other disabled people to a local community centre. Now these were really kind people. They're support workers, carers, even a physio. But as I was sitting there, I asked myself, what was I doing? Drinking tea with all the other human wreckage.
Nick!
What? I'm just saying how it is. That's how everyone treats us. It was then that I decided I wasn't going to be treated like any other disabled person. I admit there are limits to how independent I can be. But what I want to do is press against those limitations.
All right. Let's do that then. Why don't we go to the cinema to watch a film? Hold your practice run for Lucinda.
That will be all I have to talk.
It's all too much for a girl like me. This ain't the way it's supposed to be. This boy gets personal all the time, and I'm not doing anything that's a crime. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong. If it isn't the singer, it must be the song. I'd like to know how this will end. Am I working here or am I just a friend? And when I think about it, well, I get confused. I hold out my hand, but it always gets refused. It shouldn't be such a hard thing to do. It seems the only color here is blue. Whatever happens here won't be on the news. I'm just here to push the chair. I don't have much to lose. I didn't arrive here to make a career. Do I plan for a pension? No, not here. I won't be saving up for a rainy day. The way things are going, I will be on my way.
to see it.
Yes. 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 I'll be your slut. Fuck the time I want to, but that's any lazy time to you. You can have me anyway. Always wanting. Always well. Don't hold back. Don't come yet. I want to feel your skin on mine and taste your sweat like salty wine. Take my nipples in your mouth and make your tongue shake. I'll feel my tides moving to the flood and the rapture of my heated blood. So, come to me. Or just come to me and fuck me. Sing.
Well, that seems quite clear.
Yes. But what's the plan? Is it going to be friends with disability benefits? Come on, so you can dish it out but you can't take it? I know you're better than that. Listen, Nick, it's just that it's a serious thing. How this is going to work? Is everybody just going to disappear the moment that Lucina turns up? Other than exchanging photos and a few smutty poems, you don't know anything about her.
I know that she's interested in me. I know that she wants to stay in touch. Obviously, we can't take things further until we meet up, but that'll happen soon.
Will it? Has she actually mentioned meeting up?
No, but so what?
Well, I don't want to sound horrible, but she might feel safer and more comfortable just communicating online. There are women who write to prisoners because they know that they are safely behind bars.
So what has she said that makes you think she's afraid of commitments?
I just know how much this means to you, and I don't want you to get disappointed. I've heard so many stories of people faking their identities online. It's called catfishing. She could have got that picture from anywhere. And I know that you're expecting this, but she might weigh 20 stones and have a face like a bulldog. She might not even be a woman. Don't you think it's just a little bit too comfortable, the way that she's so eager to conform to your idea of her as a sex bomb? I don't know many women who are happy to be looked at just as a sexual receptacle.
I don't think many women would, no. But what if she does? I give a lot to even get the chance to be thought of as a sexual receptacle. To have someone fancy me.
Of course you have a chance, you have more than a chance.
Oh, right, so what would you have me do? Am I to decay in this chair until my teeth and hair fall out?
No, I wasn't saying
Until
that.
whatever juices I have left inside of me dry up and become a husk?
You
Will I become this dangerous then? Neutered by age? Dribbling down my shirt? Incontinent? Sucking my dick through a plastic straw? Then nobody will have to worry about the disgusting prospect of a single man having sex because I'm too fucking old!
All right, I'll fuck you then. Want somebody help here all alone? Please, somebody help, can I get to the phone? Daylight is fading, it's not gonna last. I'm lying here, houses gone past. Won't somebody help? Somebody help, get to my feet. Please, somebody help. Fell from my seat, fell from my seat. It's harder to see now. I'm losing the light. I've lost track. Please somebody help.
So, this is me, Nick, once the proud owner of a charmed life. After a golden childhood, I was invited to study at Oxford, as any girl would be, to be taught by famous medievalists. With all due respect to Jasmine and her 90s tech school turned uni, this was a place of serious scholarship. Naturally, I expected to go first. I did. So the BBC came calling. Soon, we were in Broadcasting House with all the other eager, well-dressed virgins as we introduced ourselves.
My name's Fiona. I went to Cambridge.
My name's Rupert, I went to Oxford.
We only had the lowly title of production assistant, but we knew we were the future of programming. Already, I had an idea for adapting Angela Carter book about a sorcerer called Wardle who turns up with a city with a mercenary army and besieges it with machines that change the nature of reality. Nothing like this had ever been seen on television before. When I pitched it to the managers upstairs, I could see them thinking how it could be done. Made a mistake. Nick was on his way. Of course, I had to have my stroke outside a fucking pub. So everyone who walked past me thought, oh, look at that drunk. Okay, at this time, how disgraceful. For me, the whole world went blank. When I woke, there was a nurse sticking a finger in my face, saying,
Hold my finger, Nick.
I couldn't hold her fucking finger. So they pushed me into an MRI scanner and said, yeah, Nick,
You've had a stroke.
kind of unlucky at your age.
Right? You've still got all your mental faculties.
Could have been worse. After 2 weeks in intensive care, going out of my mind, I found I could move the thumb on my left hand. Gradually, other bits of me came back to life as well. Apparently, being able to open my hands was a big deal and a cause of celebration. Then they moved me to rehab, so the physios could get to work on me. But the things that didn't work still wouldn't work. Then they sent me to the shrink. And I was humiliated when she told me I was taking too long with the exercises. I even devised a system to do these exercises, and she still said I was too slow. Then they sent me to the occupational therapist, and when I kept dropping the soap in the shaving bowl, she said I was dyslexic. Naturally, this was really all getting me down, so they put me on antidepressants. From taking no medications at all, I now had an impressive pile of pills to take each day. Well, they brought me a newspaper. It was a broadsheet, and I had to ask helping staff to turn the pages. I would keep the television just a few inches from my nose in hospital, so I wouldn't have to look at all the other human wreckage. Seeing them reminded me of where I was and what I lost. Frequently, I was pulled away for tests of every type and description. By now, I realised I was in competition for the attention of the staff, so I learned every one of their names. The world had shrunk to the area around my bed space. My part of the unspoken bargain with the staff was to be cheerful and cooperative at all times. I'd become dependent. This was the way things were going to be from now on. It was spring when they brought me in, but the showers were lengthening, and I still couldn't walk properly. They were talking of how they were going to send me home, but it was going to be in a wheelchair. So back home, and the support team began to arrive. Community Euro, OT, and physios. They tried everything in their box of tricks: hydrotherapy, restraint therapy, and electric shocks. So they all went away, and the carers began to arrive. So here we are. Sometimes my dreams, I dream I can walk naturally, but I hear that most disabled people have these dreams, even quadriplegics. More terrifying I have are the dreams of falling. These are so vivid and real and haunting that when I wake up from these nightmares, I clutch the side of my bed for support. Or perhaps I have that same dream again tonight. I wouldn't be surprised.
You're going to be done in 10 minutes if you keep going like this. Aren't you going to tell me what's going on in the world?
All right, George, but I can't stop. It seems like the Arsenal signing wants to go to China, and so does the panda. London seems to have lost its appeal.
That's what I like about you, Jasmine. You always make me laugh. You should see some of the sad sacks they send around here.
Now, George, no, you're not supposed to say any derogatory remarks about any of the cures. They're doing the best they can for you, and you know that.
Can't they send people with a brain and a sense of humour like you?
Because then I wouldn't be your favourite anymore, and we wouldn't have beautiful moments like this.
I half expect some of these old birds to come in with a stern face and accost me with a rubber glove. In fact, some of them do.
You can always write a letter of complaint and tell them how unimpressed you are.
Would that make any difference?
Of course not, but it might make you feel a bit better and make the people who cut the adult social care budget feel a bit worse.
How much did they cut?
They took 25 million out of the budget. That's a lot of money to vanish in a jet stream.
Oh, but they still have to take care of us, don't they?
Of course. Don't worry, George. Someone will always turn up in the morning. They might just be a bit pushed for time, that's all.
15 minutes. It's ridiculous. What can you do in that time?
So I've heard you say. Okay, here are all your medications. Here's some water. Do the matcha thing and take them all down together.
So, how's your chap?
What?
Kensington Kitty, the one who gets you all to himself.
I'd hardly say he gets me all to himself.
You sound prickly.
He's fine, George, thank you. Don't know what you expect me to say.
Just making conversation. Sometimes.
What anyone expects someone to do for someone who doesn't want to help themselves, I'll never know.
I'm sorry.
Helping yourself, George. Got to come first, hasn't it?
Well, you're washing my back every morning because I can't do it myself, dear girl.
No. Sorry, George. I didn't mean you. Just people have to want to be helped, don't they? Or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have to want to be helped, but they should still be thankful for it, shouldn't they? Maybe they just want to live in their past.
Who can blame them? It's better than living in the present.
I mean, what else does he want from me? What more am I meant to do?
I'm guessing here, but might we be talking about that boy in Kensington?
They might be talking about that boy. What did you do in your younger days, George?
Believe it or not, I used to be a wrestler.
Really?
Difficult to believe now, isn't it?
A wrestler? Were you famous?
Oh, they used to make me wear a mask so nobody knew who I was. I've got some old posters here if you'd like to take a look.
It might have to wait until next time. Nice try, though.
I shouldn't try to keep you here, but I don't see anybody all day.
We're going to change that, George. I'm talking to an organization about to get you a visitor.
Nah, they wouldn't put me in a home, would they? Yeah? I mean, I know a bellyache about being stuck here, but at least it's my own. Once they put you into a bloody care home, you know the end's not far off.
No, it's just a volunteer to come by for a chat. Bring you a book. Change the light bulb, that sort of things. Listen, I want a perfect shiny world where I can visit you and I will also have time for myself and earn money. They, the invisible they, the They've told me to give everyone 15 minutes. And that's what I've given you.
That's the first time I've heard you swear.
There's a first time for everything.
Well, then tell them I said it was bloody ridiculous.
The usual regard then. Bye, George.
Hi, it's me, Nick. Are you still up for it? More than ready. After a year of living at home with Mother, I've got a bad case of cabin fever. Can't happen soon enough as far as I'm concerned. I haven't touched my personal allowance more than a year, but if you could spare some plastic, that'd be great. No, that's yesterday's news. She was going to come with us, but things have become a bit complicated between us. Anyway, it's probably for the best. She would have gone ballistic if she knew we were planning to leave the country. No, let's not worry about plans, just keep it spontaneous. We'll just go to Liverpool Street and keep heading east. Have you ever been to Dresden? They spent a lot of money making it look pretty there. Well, that's not ideas. How about we just meet the Builders Arms and take it from there? Now, of course they don't have. Of course we don't allow builders there anymore. This is our Ken. Yes, I really am 20. You'll be able to see my passport soon enough. Bye.
Are you okay? You seem a bit flushed, like you've got a temperature.
Fine. What are you doing?
Just touching my makeup in your bathroom mirror. Shall I run your bath?
Not yet. But don't you find it interesting in the way that women refer to their faces, paint their faces as if it were a work of art? They even use foundation in the same way an artist whitewashes a canvas before beginning a picture.
Well, women as muses for male artists usually go back to classical time. Usually with little left for their imagination. Makes you wonder what great art the world has missed out on, really, with women being relegated to the status of objects in male paintings rather than creators of their own. Then again, I do love some of those paintings.
But haven't some of these paintings become more symbolic and less figurative? I don't think Picasso was trying to make a fair copy.
Wasn't geometry and symbolism your field of study?
Yeah, it's true. I do love abstract expressionism. Mondrian, in particular, is made of.
Really? Mondrian?
Yes, Mondrian. Let me explain.
Go ahead.
Mondrian can do things with a square. And I dig Rembrandt's ladies on bare. And what the day knew how to paint, but Salvador Dali makes me faint.
I love Dali.
What is it with Dali? Floating dogs and red watches?
It's called surrealism.
That doesn't make sense.
Surrealists, they have a place in my heart. The impressionists, well, they just tear me apart. Painting a war was the art of Paul Nash, and Pablo Picasso liked counting his cash.
Pablo Picasso was a complete stout.
Really?
Didn't have any original ideas.
Really?
He took the old masters for real inspiration. Wait, you see Bignall? You have to see Gosh.
But there's nobody like Hieronymus Bosch.
Did Van Gogh see your work and a choice?
Did Degas know how to make them all dance?
It was Tracy who sold her own bed.
It was Titian who painted his horses in red.
Jackson Pollock loved the abstract.
Although they said he was lacking in tact.
Jackson Pollock knows how to do things in a brush.
So
Yeah, but he needs, that's it, you know. Stanley's Spencer brought the dead back to life and telling you how to work with a knife. Romance was the canvas of Paul Cézanne, and he had a mountain in his plan. Chicago portrait into life, and the cheese was hanging, painting still black. And if I could, leave the all apart, then nothing would ever tear us.
Shall I run you with the bath now?
Not quite yet. I feel tired. I could do with a nap.
Okay, I'll shake on you in a little bit then. It was nice chatting with you, Nick. It's rare that I get to speak about things that I'm passionate about at work, so thank you.
So, this is me, Lucinda Marsh. I love to make men happy, to make them show gratitude. But when it all started, it was the other way around. Boys would tell me I was pretty, and I would smile and say, thank you. I never realised you could make a living by being pretty, but when I was around 16, I was signed to a modelling agency. My parents weren't so keen on the idea, but when they saw how much I would be earning, their objections just evaporated. I went with the other models to Paris and New York, and they would tell me I was pretty, and I would smile and say, thank you. Then, one day, I was on an assignment somewhere in the Caribbean when I met this photographer called Simon. He was very successful, and when he was working, he seemed confident and in charge, but away from his camera, he was painfully shy. To cheer him up, I took him to bed. And suddenly, I had a friend for life, if that's what I wanted. He had a truly dog-like devotion to me, and I kind of liked it for a while. I moved on, and Simon's calls went unanswered. But I did remember his gratitude. So, I went on making men happy, and they went on showing their gratitude, and soon, I had more things than I had ever wanted. To this day, I can honestly say I've never asked anyone for anything, but I have an apartment in Chelsea and a sports car painted gold. I began to realise that I wasn't so popular with the girls, so I started to make them happy as well. Just ships passing in the night. My little experimentation certainly paid off, but I asked myself, what next? Then, I met a guy who was disabled, and when I had sex with him, he was over the moon. It makes me sound like an emotional vampire or something, but I had never seen anybody so transformed. It was because somebody had acknowledged him as a sexual being, instead of just a vegetable in a wheelchair. Then, it dawned on me. There were thousands of disabled people out there, men and women. I'll fuck anyone who is woman intelligent. I don't mind if their carers are watching. In fact, it turns me on. I look for partners online because then it's my choice. To be honest, I feel safer with disabled people. Nick seems perfect. A clean, young, middle-class boy who writes middle-class poems. He's probably a bit insecure about how it's all going to work, but you can leave that all to me.
Wake up. Wake up. You were in a deep sleep for. Shall I take you to the bathroom?
Jasmine, I saw her. She was here.
Who was here?
Lucinda. I was right. She wants to make love to people, even disabled people.
Nick, it was a dream.
No. Dreams are never like reality. It was like she was in a room. God, her face, her hair, her breasts.
This is real, Nick. You had your hands on these, remember? Your flesh on mine? It's like you've forgotten completely about everything we did in comparison to this fantasy.
All right. Jesus. All I said was I saw Lucinda.
And how did you think it will make me feel? Her face, her hair, her breasts. It's like I'm playing second fiddle to your imaginary friend because she's a sexual smorgasbord.
I was under the assumption that what happened between us was more out of pity than anything else. I'm sure you regret it now anyway.
You assume too much, Nick. And yes, I do regret it now. But not because I didn't enjoy it. Not because I don't like you, but because you showed me complete disregard sense. Yes, it might have been a mercy fuck, but I still deserve some respect. It's not like you're exactly looking for love with Lucinda. You're so wrapped up with your plans, with your imaginary cyber doll, and you're completely blind to the emotions of the person right in front of you. It should never have happened. Shit. I forgot about your stuff. Look, I'll get you in there, but then I need to get out of here for a bit. I need some space from all of this. I think we both do. Can you handle washing yourself today?
Well,
I'm sure
yes,
your mother
but
can help you with that.
Wait, Jasmine!
We had a report of a young man passed out in a wheelchair on Gloucester Road. We found Nick here, somewhat unresponsive, but all in one piece. We gave him a few mouthfuls of oxygen and came round. His blood pressure and his heart rate are normal, his vision's not impaired, he's now communicating normally. Bearing all that in mind, we thought it best to bring him home.
Just pretend I'm not here.
Stop it, Nick. We're worried sick about you.
I've been 10 years in this job. You'd be surprised how often this happens. Excitement could be a tiring thing, so they head off out and boosh. Suddenly the lights go out. Fatigue can just sneak up on you before you're even aware of it. You can't blame the stroke survivors. They always have back to the way they were before. Hardest thing about having a medical condition is coming to terms with it.
Do you know why he was out here? He said something to us about meeting someone in the pub.
What? Jasmine, do you know anything about this?
More than I should, probably.
Look, if we took him to A&E, the first question they'd ask is his condition life-threatening? When we say no, they'd either get us to leave him in the back of the ambulance or stick him on a trolley in the corridor. I know for a fact it's manic up there right now. If his condition deteriorates, you'll have to get him up to the hospital. And it might be worth running this incident past the GP, just in case.
Thank you so much for all you've done.
Just after the service. And it might be best to take someone with you the next time you go down the pub, Nick.
Right. First of all, how did he get out without you noticing, Jasmine?
I'm still not here.
Nick, I am trying to hang on to the last shreds of my nerves in case I fall down, break out. I'm your mother, who looks after you. Don't I deserve any respect?
I thought he was having a bath, so I went to the shop to get something he asked me for.
Well, what am I paying for? If not somebody to be by his side.
I'm sorry, Helen, but in order for this to work, there has to be some element of trust. I can't put him under close surveillance, and Nick knows that.
Why, Nick? I know you're frustrated here, but why do this on your own?
Why, Mother? Why would I want to leave this warm womb of a house? Can't you imagine why? I went to meet a beautiful young woman. Or don't you think that's appropriate for me to have the same feelings as any other boy my age?
Oh, I made it clear what you want. And did you stop to think for a moment about anybody else? When I saw those paramedics, I thought that was it.
Frankly, no, Mother. I have spent the last year cooped up in here, doing what other people tell me to do. And I'm somewhat pissed off by it. This was about what I wanted to do.
What was it you wanted to do, exactly?
Well, fuck the hideout, but that didn't work out. So I was going to do someone who fancied me.
Oh my God! A monster of my own!
No, Mother, not a monster. Just a fucking cripple.
I don't think I can bear to be in the same room as you. Either of you. Well, this is all giving me a splitting headache. I'm going to lie down for a while.
Yes, just close your eyes and it'll all go away.
That was horrible, Nick. I didn't think you could be quite so vile. You were going to make Lucinda, weren't you?
Of course. You made it clear that we could never have anything again. How else was I meant to read a woman? How was I going to read a woman again? The thought of Lucinda has been the only thing that's excited me lately.
Nick, I should never ever have done what I did. And yes, there might have been an element of pity, but it's not like I didn't have feelings about it. I can't speak on behalf of other women, but I can't have sex without any emotions at all.
But is that enough to stop me from seeing a woman who sees me and not the wheelchair?
And how do you know that? How do you know she sees you and not the wheelchair?
I know, because we talked about it on the phone.
That's the conversation you forgot to mention. That meeting you planned. It was a crazy thing to do.
So, at least I'm still able to do crazy things. That's a relief, and that's a child's answer.
You were completely vulnerable. You can't fight, you can't run. What were you thinking?
I was thinking of meeting Lucinda for the first time. A beautiful woman. A woman who says she wants me to make her tremble and shake. A woman who wants me to fuck her brains out. Someone who doesn't see me as an object of pity. Someone who doesn't regret doing what she did. Someone who doesn't see me as something she should never ever have done. You're right. I did feel vulnerable. All that stuff I said was just bravado. The thought of just going to the pub, let alone ordering drinks or wooing Lucinda, terrified me. But being trapped in this place forever terrified me even more. What was I going to do? Ask your mother for help? I'm sure that would be forthcoming. So I went. I'm sorry I went wrong. But I'm not sorry for trying.
Oh, Nick. This all got so complicated so quickly. I just wanted to help and protect you. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should have left you to Lucinda. There's a whole long line of things that I've done and probably shouldn't have. I came here to work for a clever guy whose life was blighted by having a stroke. But when I agreed to help you with your pursuit of Lucinda, it started me down a path of all the wrongs that I've done. The culpa. Can't take it back now. What are you going to do?
I'm going to do it again. Even if I never succeed, I have to keep trying.
And I'm going to leave. I mean, I'm sure I'm sacked anyway.
Look, I have to have goals and fight for them like anyone else. The physios and the neuro team did their damnedest on me because I was so young, but I was too weak to take advantage of their exercises. Who knows? If I had been able to do their tests, maybe I wouldn't be in this wheelchair. It was just a hurdle I couldn't cross. I fell down and I couldn't get up. I was just saying this because I can't bear to hear it from anyone else. But now I know my limitations. I have to keep trying to overcome them. Success just came so easy to me before my stroke. I never had to fight for anything. But now I realise it's about struggling and striving, no matter what happens, to achieve your goal, no matter how many times you fail. Why would that make you want to leave?
I came here as a paid carer, and that's how I wanted it to be. Obviously, it's not working out. I got too heavily involved, so I need to go.
To do what?
There's no shortage of people in your situation. Most of them are much worse off. The shortage comes from when you start looking for people to take care of them. Don't worry about me. There's enough of work out there for carers.
And that's it. Wiping people's arses is enough for a girl who wanted a career in art.
Actually, I started some art workshops for people with disabilities. I won't lie and say that it's going perfectly. During sculpture class, one woman threw a paper mache head at me. But I survived. Still early days, but it seems to have a positive impact.
So you found it disposable. Oh, right. But once it's a woman who shags and leaves. The term mercy fuck, to use your poetic language, has an irate ring to it, doesn't it?
You're the poet, not me. And yes, there was an element of pity, but it was more than that. Either way, it doesn't make this case any exceptional. People do it for all sorts of reasons. People stay in sexless marriage and do it once a year in their anniversary to justify their joint bank account. Nobody's disposable. How could I be a carer and think like that? Listen, some people after having a stroke are paralyzed and they can't have sex. Some people have aphasia and can't even ask for it. Some people die and will never have sex. As you've pointed out, you can clearly get it up and talk a girl into bed. So you're much better off than many. If you want to improve your act, you might drop the sarcasm. But I know you don't accept advice, so I won't give you any.
If I compare myself to other people in the disabled community, then I am finished. What you're really saying is, I should just resign myself to my fate and accept the consequences, and that is the beginning of the end. All right, so I couldn't get to the pub, but she was there, waiting for me. I knew she was. I could feel it. And yes, one day she'll be there again, waiting for me. And on that day, I will be there. And on that day, my life will finally be able to move forward, and I won't be trapped by the past.
And that's the thing. I'm not saying it at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I can't help you anymore. I came here as your parent carer to help you through the day-to-day, not to become your cheerleader for your one-man crusade. Goodbye, Nick. You won't see me again.
You might see me around, but there's no need alone. I won't take up your time. I'm better off on my own. So just leave me and I'll be fine. There's something on which we agree. There's something on which we agree. Yeah, forget about me. 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 Yeah, forget about me.
Nick, this is Maddie. She's your new carer.
Pleased to meet you, Maddie.
Nick will probably be ready by the time you get here. He might need a bath later on, but, well, I can help with that, at least to begin with. Ah, well, I'll let you get to know each other. So, what do you like to do during the day, Nick?
Oh, I try my hands at writing poetry. Do you like poetry?
Oh, yes! I love C.D. Smith.
Well, this is more wading than drowning. But if you'd like to help with me, help me with it, if you can type it for me, I can dictate.
Yeah, this is exciting. Sorry.
Are you writing this poem to anybody in particular?
Well, I haven't met her yet, but it's a girl I know called Lucinda.